Right. Good morning, everyone. And we're just waiting for a few more people, and then we're going to start. Oh, there's some people who are on Zoom and on Instagram. Wow. People loving the sauce this morning. Okay.
Double whammy. Double whammy.
Yeah. So on today's show, everyone, there's a few people who are struggling to join on Zoom for some reason. We are going to talk today about property education. So, you know, it might get a bit heated. There might be a few shots. Amanda said you're looking fit. Just thought I'd share that.
She needs to stop. My wife's on this call.
I doubt your wife has that much attention for this stuff.
No, she doesn't.
So, morning, everyone. James, shall I start like the official action?
Yes, do that. We're recording. We're all live. All good.
So, good morning, everyone. Greetings, buenos dias, and welcome to another episode of the Property Duo. I believe this is episode 9. That's good. That also means we're on about week 12 of lockdown because we started this 3 weeks in, I think. So, yeah, it's like a lagging indicator for lockdown. So, before we start, just a few bits of housekeeping. I have notes here, which I've written on the back of a direct debit mandate. If you haven't left us a review, if you're listening to this live or on James's podcast or on Tej's podcast, please leave a review on the Facebook page for either of us or iTunes/Apple. There is nowhere else you can leave a review. Those are the best places to do it. If you're on the Zoom, if you're on Instagram, screenshot us, take a picture, just make sure we're not doing some awkward pose, and share it, please, if you found this valuable. Also, if you're in the chat or if you're on Instagram, put a message if you've downloaded our spreadsheet, because I woke up this morning and I thought, we're probably going to have like 10 people. James checked this morning. And James, how many people have signed up to our mailing list and the spreadsheet?
77 people have signed up, and it's been live less than 48 hours. We did not expect a response like that, so we're super stoked with that, man. It just shows we're giving you some real value there.
Big up. 77 people got the spreadsheet. If you're asking where the spreadsheet is, if you go to my story or James's story, there's a link there, but it's basically thepropertyduo.co.uk/hi, and you will find the link. So it's all there for you to download. So yeah, hope it's been useful. Any questions about it, let us know. It should be fairly self-explanatory. Someone just said on Instagram, is anyone else watching this on the toilet? If you are, then give us a shout out. I'm in fact
shout out to the toilet crew.
Big up toilet gang with the toilet computers. I'm actually on the toilet. This is my heated soft headboard. So yeah, hi everyone. I'm also there. So I think that covers the housekeeping. James, let's get into property education. So I think we should start with an overview of the market, because for people who are new or maybe aren't familiar with the UK property education market, it's a bit of a total shit show. And, you know, I'd like us to maybe give our opinions on what we think the market is like. But actually before that, James, I've forgotten. Coronavirus updates. What have you been up to, good sir?
I went on my first viewing last Friday. Which was good. First time I got on a train since lockdown. All a bit surreal, really annoyed because there was no food on the train, so I had to go all the way starving. You know, I don't even know why they have these upgrades on these trains when there's no food. That's the reason why you upgrade, so you can have free food. A little tip for everyone: if you're ever traveling on it's not a Virgin train anymore, but on those trains, there's an app called SeatFrog. Download the app called SeatFrog. It will allow you to upgrade your normal standard seat to first class for 15-20 quid, and for 15-20 quid, if you're going on an early morning train, you can have a nice cooked breakfast. So that's a hot little tip for you there. And obviously you get complimentary beers on the way back in the afternoon. So the 15 quid could end up, you know, you could tally it up to about 50 quid worth of free refreshments, like Uncle James does. So good tip there for you. So yeah, I was out viewing properties. I'm really excited. It's 4 properties that I've viewed. I want to buy all 4 of them. I have put offers forward. I'm just waiting. We are literally just about to get this deal over the line. So really happy to be getting back out there and getting dug into a project. The saga still continues with the HMO, with tenants not paying. Update on that is 3 of them have left, which is good.
Oh,
which is excellent news for me. So I've got another 3 to get out, and those 3 are really the rotten apples that have been in there since day one and now causing trouble. But good news is 3 are gone, so it just means I need to get rid of another 3. My employed bookkeepers that I took on, like I was telling you last week, I have outsourced everything now, even outsourced inputting of my receipts into my accounts package, because it's just something I absolutely hate doing. So completely outsourced that to Pakistan, of all places. Might be one of Shaz's cousins doing it, for all I know.
I was waiting for that.
Well, I had to drop that. Yeah, so I've completely outsourced my accounts, which is the best thing I've ever done, guys. I highly, highly advise it to everybody. Doesn't matter what stage you're at. It's always a good thing, because it's one of those things that gets completely neglected when you're starting out, is your accounts. And it's one of the most important things. You need to be able to know where you are in your business and what state at open, within a couple of minutes of opening an accounts package. And the only way you're going to do that is if you're spending a shitload of time on it, or if you've got somebody else doing it. So yeah, fully outsource my accounts. Things are growing really, really good with the VA that I've got. Working really closely with her on a few things. Was on a call with her for a couple of hours just before this call. Things are great there. And yeah, just generally, life seems to be getting back to normal. If I'm going to be honest with you, I was out on the road the other day, and most shops were open, although they're adhering to social distancing. Life slowly seems to be getting back to normal, and I honestly feel that come July, second week of June, we're going to see things just pick up again, like massively, and people are going to be like, Corona? What fucking Corona? Everything's back to normal.
Coronavirus? That's interesting. I don't really see. I don't know. I don't really see it going back to normal.
You don't really go out though, do you? You don't
no,
really go out.
That's true. But because Nando's is closed, when Nando's opens, then I'll be like, okay, normality is back to kind of what it should be. But I don't know. I'm so used to it now. I'm kind of just like, okay, well, it's the norm, so we'll carry on as it is. So I kind of, but the roads are busier. Like, people are more out. Rishi Sunak announced Nando's on Twitter yesterday. What? He knows what's up. But yeah, I think June, I don't know if things will be back to normal. Like, I've seen pictures of people in parks with no social distancing, basically rubbing up on each other, all full. And I'm just like, this is going to cause problems for the economy, and this is not good. So I don't know. I think people are just not listening properly.
You know what? But I've got a national forest where I live, and we take the kids around for a walk there almost daily. And you're right, Ted, it's mental. People are there having barbecues. You got people sunbathing. You got people fishing. You got groups of dogs running around in the pond. It doesn't seem to be any social distancing. And people are having a great time, if I'm honest with you. Cold beers, bottles of prosecco, sunbathing, music, guys out with their guitars. It's just like,
wow.
There's nothing at all.
Yeah, I think, and that's only going to cause more problems for the future. Like, people don't have the mentality of sacrificing now to have something in the future. Like, not everyone has that, because and they're all enjoying these cold beers while the taxpayer is paying for everyone's salaries. Anyway, so
what's been happening with you?
Oh, thank you for asking, James. I thought you never would. So I've managed to secure wholemeal and rye flour. So I'm back to my normal self. I'm feeling good. I'm saying? The diet is there. Rent is due this week and early next week, and as far as I know, it's all coming good. My essay, they've extended for another 2 weeks, so that should be again another high payout. Refurbs are kind of are happening. They're going on. Yeah, there isn't. Selco is doing delivery. Well, they're kind of doing delivery. So I've got all my worktop coming today. Big up Selco. I love Selco. And yeah, kind of things are just carrying on as normal, really. I saw my partner, I saw Gina in the park yesterday at 2 meter distance, which she literally brings a measuring tape. So yeah, it's not a Dominic Cummings thing.
Hey, just to interrupt, Ted, that could be a festival, Gina in the park.
That does sound like one of those festivals where people wear those baggy pants and they like a hippie kind of festival. Yeah, it could be. Yeah. So yeah, not much really is happening. Obviously the hair is actually annoying me now because it's just irritating me. But yeah, that's it for Corona. Right. Let's get into our topic. our topic of the day, the special property education. James, what is your opinion on the overview of the property market? Like if someone said, oh James, what's property education like in the UK, you know, what would you say?
I think you took the words right out of my mouth earlier. It's a shit show. It's a right shit show. I think you've got a very, very small amount of good players, and then I think you've got a very large amount of bad players. I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to get shot, but you know, still, you just have to look around. I mean, if I go back to when I started in property, I don't believe there was
45 years ago, wasn't it? Yeah, back in the 60s and that.
You just had to get that digging, didn't you? You know. Anyway, so when I started, there was no education. You know, I'm sure there were courses around, but I weren't really looking for courses. You know, it was you ask someone if you need help. You ask someone, hey, what should I do with this? What do you think of this? I need help with this. But now, it just seems to be wherever you look, there's a training course, some kind of property training course, you know. And I think I personally feel they are preying on people that are new to the industry in the sense that, you know, they're kind of like, let's go after the newbies. You know, the newbies that want to get into property, we'll sell them a false dream. And I think a lot of people do sell people a false dream that, you know, you can come onto this property course, pay X amount of money, and you are going to be a property millionaire. And I guess people need to do their own due diligence as well before they sign up to a course and say, you know, you need to understand that just because you've paid someone 10 grand doesn't mean you're going to become a property millionaire unless you enforce or put into action what you've been taught. But I think the state of the UK courses I feel a lot of them are selling people a false dream. And anybody who says property is easy is lying to you because it's not easy. It's not easy one bit. So as an overview, I think there's a lot of people selling false hope, false dreams, and they're preying on the idea that, come on, everybody wants to make a little bit of extra cash, and they're preying on that vulnerable sector that are new and starting out in the whole game.
Yeah, I agree. I think, there's a lot of bad apples and there's a few good ones. And, you know, the vulnerability piece is interesting because even like, so I have been on a course that I didn't pay for. I won it ages ago. I didn't find it too useful, and we'll speak about it later. When I looked around me, most people, and it was interesting actually, because the people who you think would be vulnerable were the opposite. So all the young people there who you think were like, oh my God, money, they were more like, this is a bit, I don't really trust this. All the older people, I've been a postman for 45 years in my life and I want to change now. The older generation, they were the ones who were sucked in and like, oh my God, and that's just, I guess, a whole nother discussion. But that kind of vulnerability or marketing those who are new, just for people to know, sometimes new doesn't mean young or like new in life. It can mean someone who's 50 or 60 could actually be way more vulnerable and taken by this than someone who is a lot younger. So I agree, lots of bad apples, certain good ones. And the thing is, right, like it's what, okay, I think if you know how to sell, which I think anyone in this chat, anyone who is an entrepreneur of any type knows how to sell, because it's what we do, whether it's ourselves or it's a business. And if you know how to market and you understand NLP to a basic level, when you see some of these adverts, you just know, you're kind of like, okay. I saw one yesterday actually from someone who, I think I've seen him speak live at some event. And I mean, I think it was an event with you actually. I think it was the one that we met at. And there's a few people there who are dodgy as hell, but this guy, you know, he has a nice accent. That's the only reason I listen to him. His advert said something like, secure flip 2 houses and make 90 grand profit before Christmas. And obviously we're in May now. It was something like, we're in May, well, we're basically in June. So you have got just under 6 months to find a cracking deal, refurb it with Corona and sell it at 45 grand each with probably no of your own money. And these are probably going to be your first deals.
Sign me up.
I've already signed. I signed us both up. Don't worry. It was 2 for 1. And look, this is possible. You and me could do this. A lot of people in this chat could do this. But if you're new and you have no money, no experience, no brand, nothing, you are very unlikely to do that. So like, you know, one of these things is like, they market to the vulnerable, but they also market pretty, I don't know, have you seen a property training advert, James, that you saw the marketing and thought, okay, fair enough, that looks believable?
Yeah, I have. But then when you, like you said, when they're saying you can do this before Christmas in 6 months, then you start, obviously when you've had experience of going through the realms of doing a deal, you think, nah, this ain't possible because it's going to take you 6 weeks, 8 weeks to get the purchase done. Let's face it. Yeah. And then once you've got the property, it's probably going to take you a few weeks just to strip it out. And then you're finding contractors, then you're finding subcontractors, and then they expect you to get it refinanced to get your money released all by Christmas. Man, that's just a load of shit. I'm sorry, it's just a load of shit. But what they've got there is they've got a good hook line. They've hooked you. They've hooked you on the first few words. They've given you what you want to hear. You want to hear that. You want to hear, shit, I want 90 grand before Christmas. Who doesn't want 90 grand before Christmas?
I do, yeah.
The hook is strong, so they've got you. You're automatically, your attention's there. Once they've got your attention and you've signed up, you put your email address in, they are not letting you go because you are now in a complex sales funnel. And you are going to be moved around this sales funnel from here, there, everywhere. They might sell you a product for $10, $50. Before you know it, they're going to pressurize you into buying something that's $2,000, $10,000. Now, I'm not saying all sales funnels are shit because there's some really, really good sales funnels that are really, really worthwhile. But all you need to do is go on YouTube and check ClickFunnels. Go and read all about ClickFunnels. And people make shed loads of money from ClickFunnels. Now, I ain't going to name this particular person, but all I'm going to say is he's Scottish. He's short. Yeah? I ain't going to name him. And his surname begins with a muck. But this guy uses ClickFunnels to his... Mate, the way this guy uses ClickFunnels, he's part of the ClickFunnel Millionaire Club, which means that you've done £1 million through your funnel. Now, he's done it 3 times. 3 million quid for his funnel. Now, when you research about this guy and you go check out his company, I'm looking at his sheets and I'm thinking, for someone who's done all these deals, he ain't making no peas. This don't make sense. It doesn't link up. But what I'm saying is the power of the hook and the power of marketing, the power of ClickFunnels is just bloody amazing, man. If you can get it right, you can make a hell of a lot of money. So getting back to what you're saying, yes, it is believable because the hook line's so strong. And once they've got you hooked, it's like fishing. The hook is already in your mouth, yeah? They're just pulling you along until they eventually get you out of the water. And that, exactly. And once they get you out of the water, that's when it's probably a little bit too late because you're thinking to yourself, shit, man, I've done 10 grand now and I've got nothing out of it. That trainer was shit. So you see what I'm saying? That analogy.
I think
that's what they're doing. They're hooking you through that funnel.
And you know what? You don't even have to put your email address in. If you've watched a video for more than X many seconds or you've liked or commented, that pixel and that track will retarget you. And you go on their website just out of interest. Oh, everywhere I go, I see this property trainer. It is what it is, you know, like it's very easy to set up. I think I have it for tejtalks. I don't run any adverts, but I think there's a pixel, if I ever was gonna, that if you've been on my website, you're going to see me on your Facebook. It's that easy, you know? So, you know, I don't think I've ever seen an advert. Well, you know what? There's 2 types of adverts. Yeah? There's the hook. There's the make 100 grand before Christmas. Or there's the, look, what I'm about to tell you is going to change your life. But it's really, really hard. And you got to work really hard. No. You got to work really hard. Don't skip this video. Let me tell you how I made 6 figures in 3 months. And then, you know, those ones, like, and then you have those videos, yeah? And I see what they're doing. They are telling the truth. They're saying, look, it is hard, you know, but they're not really saying that. They're saying that so you sort of are suckered in by their honesty. But you know, when you get into it, they're going to say, yeah, it's hard, but you know, life's hard. So it's fine. You know, like you just know it's going to switch into, like, if someone says to me, Tej, I want to get into property. I'm like, are you fucking ready? Because it's really hard. And it's not enjoyable like half the time. That's what they pretend they're saying, but they're not. So I think it's very easy to fall for these adverts. But you know what? I'm going to fire a shot at people, not at trainers. Some of these adverts, yeah, they are whack. They are whack-a-doodle whack. Yeah. Like some of them, the video quality on some of them is so blurry. The way they talk, and I just think like this is trash. Like, how are people falling for this? Now, look, a lot of adverts are good, and I can understand why people, sort of fall for them or feel for them, but some are bad, and you just think, how is this person making money off this course, and how are people not Googling their names to realize they're actually bankrupt, before they go on a course with them? Like, Google is so powerful, even for your tenants. Any tenants I get, I'm like, what's their full name? Send me their Facebook profile. I'm looking them up. I'm doing everything to know about them, because the second and third page of Google, who in this chat has ever been to the second search page of Google? Probably no one, right? Because it's so efficient. But when you get there, you start discovering some things, you might not want to discover. And so, like, put people's names in, look at property tribes, and look at, yes, there's a lot of people just chatting shit and hating, but certain sites and certain things will tell you things about people. So I think from both of our views, the overview of the property market, the property education market, is it needs change. Would we agree, James?
I think so. Yeah. 100%.
And actually, interestingly enough, I don't think I sent you the article, but there's a guy called Cyril Thomas who hosts the Property Investor Awards every year. I went to that, suit and tie, like that. And the DJ was terrible. So Cyril has not got good choice in DJs, but he, I believe, has set up a property in accreditation thing. So he's inviting different like trainers, and just an open thing to say, look, apply to be accredited. I guess send us your material, let us experience a course, and we'll give you an accreditation to say that you are legit. So I think this is a necessary change and something to happen. But James, do you think having it set up like within property by property people means, like in our governments, like in the world, there's going to be relationship-based corruption, or do you think it can still be a pure third party?
No, I do think there's going to be corruptions. Like with anything, they could fix whatever they want to fix. If somebody's paying them a larger fee, why wouldn't you accredit them? And their course might be whack, but they're paying you a larger fee to be accredited. You're going to put them up there. It's like with advertising. If you advertise on a certain forum, or you advertise in certain places, the more money you pay, the higher you come up. If these guys are running an accreditation and someone's offering them £50,000 to be listed as a top 3, why wouldn't they take it? They might try to say they're all very, very separate. I think what these accreditation boards need is, they need a board of CEOs from different fields. So you do not need a CEO from you need property people on there on the panel, but you need a board of directors or a board of CEOs that are retired, maybe, who have run big firms, who sit on the board and are, they're on the fence, they're unbiased, they're not for property and they're not against property. So they are going to be the guys that are going to, I think, really shipshape this industry and give it the spanking that it needs, and bring it back the spanking it needs to bring it back into, to bring it up to a level. Everything else is accredited. Why is this not accredited? Why is there not a body that looks after this? Why is there somebody who doesn't come along and say, you, Mr. Manchester, you've messed up. You see what I did there?
No, I don't. Sorry, I actually don't get it.
Mr. Manchester, I didn't want to mention the name.
I have no idea what James is talking about. If anyone knows, drop it in the comments, because we didn't say it, you did.
Okay. You, Mr. Manchester, you've been all over the TV, you've messed up. You're getting a £50,000 fine. Yeah?
I've got it.
You got it, yeah? I'm not naming any people, but what I'm saying to you is, why can't he get a fine like, say BMW gets a fine when they fake their emissions? Yeah? People get VW got screwed when they faked their emissions, A massive hit to the system, a massive punch in the stomach, almost like being in school and you get a detention, but this is like 10 times worse, where someone's going to beat the shit out of you financially. I think it needs to happen.
Yeah, but okay. You say that, yeah, but let's take, for example, HSBC. I'm going to name them, yeah, I don't give a fuck. HSBC were convicted and factually found and admitted they were laundering or helping and aiding to launder the Mexican drug cartel's money. Now, basically they saw it and said, yeah, it's fine. We're making money off it for years and years and years. And they got fined, you know, when I say, okay, let's say your turnover is 100 million, yeah? Now, let's say your profit's 100 million. They basically got fined 5 million in terms of, in the bigger picture of things, right? And all the lawyers were told, listen, stop chasing them. We're just going to take a payment. If that happens on the scale of money laundering, murderers and narco-terrorists, who gives a shit about property trainers? That's not my view, but that's the view of, like, if we can't even get it right with these things that really, really, really matter, like banks, are we ever going to get it right on something that is, you know, as minor as training? And, you know, and by the way, I'm not talking about Cyril's scheme in particular. We're just saying he's brought this up. We're having a separate discussion. We're not saying his is not going to have the CEOs or anything like that. We're just saying in general, it needs to have this. But James, like, a lot of the time, like, I don't know, I think even with accreditation, like, how can you, if you're going to find someone, like, if you have the ability to find someone, you have to be like your own organization. You have to be the FCA, you have to be the ICO, you have to be the police. You have to be like a proper, I don't know what the word is, like civil authority or something. I don't know. Because, yeah, I mean, yeah, you can make the person sign an agreement, but we all know you can just renege on the agreement. So I don't know if that would work, you know, in practicality, given the kind of, I don't know what the word in English is. The hairy fairy. What's that in English?
Well, look, let me give you an example. Energy companies, yeah? People hate dealing with them. But what do the energy companies not want? They do not want you complaining to the ombudsman about it, right? They hate it. The minute you mention that line, I'm going to put an official complaint in the ombudsman about you. They're like, oh, okay, what can we do for you, sir? What can we do? They hate those complaints because they know they're going to get an arse whooping. It's like if you're an online business and you're selling products and you're not delivering them, you're going to get credit card chargebacks. And every time you get a chargeback, it's like a on your ass, on your ass, yeah? And eventually what's going to happen is you're going to get so many on your ass that at some point they're going to take it away from you, yeah? And if that's your livelihood and where you're earning money, you don't want that. So I think these courses need to be accredited to the point where the trainers are constantly shitting themselves. They are on their toes. So when they're taking when they're saying to next man in the hall, hey, look, you know what, just use your grandma's pension for this month and sign up. They got to be scared to be saying that because they got to be thinking, you know what, if this backfires, if this kid goes and tells the board that, you know, I messed him up and I convinced him to sign up and don't give a shit about your grandma because she's nearly dead, just use her money, you know, he's going to be worried. They need to be worried all the time. Because I think if they're worried about taking someone's money, then they're going to deliver a good job. It's like me and you. When we take an investor's money to do a product, you're always shitting it. You know, you are always thinking to yourself, I need to treat this 50 grand or 100 grand or 200 grand better than my own 200 grand. Because if you lose a bit of your own money, you're okay with it. You know, you can get over it, like James did. But if you lose somebody else's money, damn, that's a bitter pill to swallow, man. It hurts. So I think these guys need to be put on the same kind of level as that, where they are thinking to themselves, you know what, if I don't deliver, I'm getting a strike. If I take someone's money and I haven't informed them, almost like they make you do with a mortgage. Okay, I know this is taking it a bit to the extreme, but independent advice. Are you suitable to do this course? Do you feel you will learn from this course? Sign right here, and you go through a full list of points with the person. Chances are that person's not going to read it and just sign it anyway. But still, you've covered as a trainer, you have covered your own ass as a trainer to say, look, I have sat there with this client of mine. Yes, he's only 18 and yes, he's spending 5 grand on his credit card, but he has said he understands this, he understands that, he understands this, and he signed here. You know, you've taken the time as a credible trainer to sit with someone and say, do you understand everything I'm about to deliver? Do you understand that I'm taking shitloads of money from you and this might not work? Do you understand that you need to get your ass into gear and do some work? And, you know, the property fairies ain't just going to fly into your window at night and say, here's 100 grand, here's some money for you because you invested in me. And do you understand there's a strong possibility that I might be a bit of a scammer? You know?
Yeah, definitely have that in writing on the ILA.
If I was writing the clause, that would be in the small print for the trainers, you know? But what I'm saying to you is, if if a student is signing all that and the trainer is taking all that, I think that's a hell of a lot of due diligence done there and then. So, you know, why wouldn't the trainer want to deliver, and why wouldn't the student want to put in some serious graft to make it work? I think you got to be harsh with this, man. If it's going to be regulated, it needs to be regulated all the way where 3 strikes and you're out. You know, 3 strikes, you fucked up, you're out, you'll never be in a trainer again for 5 years. Your name goes on a register to say you are fucked up, you are not becoming a trainer again, you messed up with this guy, you messed up with this guy, and it should be public record to say he did this to this person. So everybody's there to see it. Simple as. That will get rid of all the shit. It's like when they bought the HMO license in, all these landlords that were rogue landlords, yeah? You know, Mr. Barber, Mr. Patel, Mr. Khan, Mr. Davis, all those guys. I've had this property for 50 years. I've been renting from my family. I got a small room. I paint white. All those guys disappeared. All those shitty landlords were gone. And I think when the HMO licensing came in Article 4, it was the best thing ever because it cleaned up the industry. And this is exactly what needs to happen in property. And that's my rant over.
I agree with you. And I think in practicality, it's not going to work as well, because it's like review sites. Someone's always going to say, oh, they didn't teach me, but I'm a lazy piece of shit and I didn't work hard, so therefore it's the trainer's fault. Like a lot of people do. So I think what you're saying on paper is perfect and would work, especially the ILA part, the independent legal advice. Some form of that would work. I mean, I reckon that some training companies do that. I reckon they give you the sell, they sell you the dream, you know, and then they say, oh, by the way, you just got to sign this, just part of protocol. And obviously you're heightened and you're like, I want the course. And you read something that says what you said. Do I understand this? Blah, blah. You're going to say, yeah, because you've already made your decision or been influenced to make your decision that you are taking the course. You know, it's like with the mortgage or bridge. Have either of us ever read those terms and said, oh, I can't do this? No, we've just said, oh, we fucking know what it is. Get it over with, you know? And that bridging and mortgage is a lot more serious than 5K on a course. But we both know.
I was just about to say, Ted, yeah, you know, when you take a bridge, you are literally putting your nuts on the line and the bank owns your bollocks, yeah? To put it plain and simple. But you still sign it and you realize, damn, these guys have got a debenture on me. Even if the company folds, they're coming after me. Even if I got nothing, they're going to pursue me to the end point where they get their money regardless. And that is a position, you know, most people don't want to be on. It's like, you know, a massive rock hanging over your head and it's going to kill you until you pay that money back. And it's the best feeling getting a bridge when the money lands, but it's an even better feeling when you pay that bridge back, let me tell you. But like you say,
100%.
The conditions are so strong, but yes, we will still sign it. And yes, we might not read all of it. And yes, we realize the severity of it.
Yeah, basically, well said. So let's go into some signs of a bad trainer. Also, maybe some signs that people can watch out for on the adverts or just anything, James. I've actually got a few props to demonstrate this. So I've got I don't know if it's spelt, it's a Versace scarf, which is from Southall Market. So it's obviously not Versace.
Southall Broadway. Hey.
Big up. So I'm just gonna show you. I'm gonna look like a dame in a stately home right now. I'm gonna look very feminine. But this is a watch, which actually doesn't work, but you don't know that. A watch, and these are some keys. I mean, to be honest, the most important thing on here is the Selco trade card and my Tesco Club card points. That's the most important thing. Oh, and Stewie and Brian. Anyone watches Family Guy? And Brian. Anyways, I am an archetypal property trainer right now because I'm showing you a few things. I'm showing the wealth. I'm showing the car. You know, you can't see what car it is, but oh yeah, Lamborghini key. And this, and this. If someone is selling to you and they are driving in their car and it happens to be a Ferrari or like a Land Rover, which you can lease for £400 a month, or any of these cars, and they're in the car and they're talking to you, firstly, why are they doing a video when they're driving? Firstly, ethics. Secondly, are they doing it because they're so busy and darling, they had to film in their Ferrari? Or are they doing it because they want you to see the prancing horse on the steering wheel while they're like, Yes, well, I started in property 10 years ago. And of course, it took me a year and I was a millionaire and I bought this car straight away. They're doing it to show you the wealth. If someone says, if you're talking and they're like, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, property can just make you such a millionaire. They're selling you on wealth and items, okay? When they have fancy clothes, when they stand in front of their houses, these are not sort of, they're not there to like genuinely do anything apart from show you, oh, the house behind me. Oh, I didn't even know I was standing in front of it. It's 1 of 5. Yeah, this is actually my annex to my mansion. It's that subtle, it's the humble brag. It's the, oh, Versace. Yeah, it was just $1,000. Well, no, it's fine with property, it's no big deal. That's what they want you to think. Because come on, you see someone in front of a nice car, in front of a nice house. What are you thinking? Naturally, you are thinking, okay, like they've got a bit of money. But when you go into it, you can find a stately home or go to a posh area near you, take a photo in front of a house, borrow your mate's Lamborghini, which I've done a parody video on my IGTV with, have one of these from the market, and you can suddenly be a millionaire. Like getting these things and getting them for a picture or for a video costs basically nothing. Owning them is a totally different story. But what you need to be aware of is that these are plants, these are literally just here casually, just to be like, yeah, so if you want to be wealthy and if you want to be in property, wink, wink, hint, hint, look at this stuff here. And it's like a really, really basic trick that, let's be honest, most of us, if we were, think back 5 years ago, everyone, before you got into property or business, or think back when you were 18 or 16, you see a nice car. What do you think? You think, oh, wow, money. And it's the same thing. They're playing off your shallow materialistic desires for these nice and shiny things to then take the course with them. James, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think we had this conversation only a couple of weeks ago when I showed you some pictures of cars that I've owned previously. And remember, we talked about saying, that one particular picture of that 911 in front of my friend's £15 million house. And we said, why don't we try this? Why don't we stick this on the thing as a image? And why don't we say we're a property trainer and see what happens, just to show people the power of perception. Now, I've never posted a picture of me in a nice car, and I've had several nice cars, because for me, the value's not in the car. That's just a byproduct of success. For me, the value is in the information being delivered. But I could quite easily post a picture of me in a nice car in front of a very, very nice house with a nice big designer watch on and nice clothes, and claim to be, the next Mr. Manchester, so to say. But, that for me, that isn't the success part. But yeah, I agree with you, man. It's almost like what the Forex traders do on Instagram. You see the nice things, you see the watch, you see the bundles of cash, you see the nice clothes, you see the private, sitting on a private jet or sitting in a nice car. And everybody thinks, you know what? I got to get myself a piece of that. I need a bit of that. And, only last week we were having a laugh. Again, I'm not going to name some names, but someone who openly on social brags about his cars, yeah? One being a yellow Lambo and one being something else. I'm not going to name the other one. And when I told you guys that this man lives around the corner to me, and I sent you a fucking screenshot of his house, everybody's like, damn, that is a shit house. The cars are way better than the house. And you're thinking, my man is claiming to be a multi-millionaire on private jets and all kinds of shit, but he lives in the hood, And he's claiming it, and he's claiming to do courses, and you picked up on it straight away, and you're like, damn, he's sitting in his attic. That ain't no penthouse. What I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, and I actually know a lot more about this person from a very close source, and yeah, everything that is shown is not what is reality. And you know what, James? When we can meet each other, let's take pictures in someone's car. We both know people with nice cars. Let's put a series of 3 pictures on our Instagrams, and let's just trial some stuff, and let's see what the response is. Yeah, because like that picture of you and me in the Bentley, which was not photoshopped, If you think it is, leave. It was
Mm-hmm.
real.
It was real.
White, satin white. That color itself was like 10 grand. Pictures like that, I really want to see what the response is going to be like. So we're definitely going to do that, everyone, like with people who are asking in the chat. But James, what about like, so that's I guess the first signs that someone's bad. It's the materialistic stuff. But would you also maybe say that it's society's fault for craving those things, and therefore what do you expect these trainers to do? If this is what people want and they want the shallow materialistic desires, are you not going to sell to their desires? Like, what do you think? Don't you think we are to blame as well?
Yeah, I do. And I think it's social media. It's social media to blame big time, because you log onto social media and you see all these things, and you see your mate from school doing really, really well, or you see somebody down the road who's bought a house and he's done really well and the nice things he's bought, and automatically you want those things, you know. But then if you look at people like Tim Ferriss, who talks about the 4-hour work week, where does he talk about flash cars in that? There's no mention to flash cars. There's no mention to shitloads of money or watches. His mention is about being time free. And I think more people need to speak about time free, because ultimately, for me, that is the biggest goal, man. Yes, having a nice car is nice, but it's a byproduct. Having shitloads of money is a byproduct. But time is something you can't buy. And ultimately, that's what most people want when they get into property is, oh, you know what? I want to work the hours I want to work. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to pick up my kids from school. My why is to spend more time with my son. Most people don't go into property saying my why is to have 100 Ferraris. Okay, there might be the odd one or two, but ultimately, more and more people I speak to, or people that are longer down their journey, the thing they want most is time. And not many trainers will show you that, because they're just luring you in. It's going back to that whole thing of hooking you in. They're hooking you in by showing you a Ferrari, by showing you a nice designer watch, and you're thinking, I want that. You're making that connection. You're there. You're attracted to the car. You're attracted to the nice house. You're attracted to their watch, and you're thinking, if I sign up with this guy, I'm going to have a piece of that. And reality is, you're not. You know, it takes a long time to have a piece of that. You know, it's not. It's very, very hard work. And like you said, Tej, anybody can own a nice car today. We spoke about it. I sent Tej a screenshot the other day. I had an email come through from a car dealer that I used to deal with a few years ago. Hi, James, how you doing? Do you want a Lamborghini Hurricane for £750 a month with minimal deposit? And it's like, wow, those have come down a little bit. I remember them being three. Yeah, you know, and you think to yourself, if you're running a HMO, you could have that. I could be driving around in a Bugatti. Who gives a monkeys? It could cost me £3,000 a month with 50 grand down or whatever. And I know I'll always get that 50 grand back because the car's so desirable. But people need to realize these guys have not gone out there and bought this car cash. Just remember that. You know, anybody with any sense would not put that kind of money on a liability. 9 times out of 10, it's always lease. Even when I had a nice car, yes, they were owned, but they were always on finance. And there's a very good reason, because you never have that amount of capital tied up in something that's going to drop anyway, you know? So don't be fooled by what you see. Even the companies that offer watches today, you can buy a flipping 10 grand designer watch and pay 110 quid a month for the next 5 years, you know? So even that is financed on watches, and they don't give a shit what your credit's like, and it's 0%. So they've got you. The hook is, yes, I'm going to get myself a roly. Yeah, it's 10 grand. It's 0%. Inside your head, you're thinking, yeah, I could split this over 5 years. It's only costing me a minor £100, and I'm not paying any interest. I'm the clever one. No, you're the stupid one, because they're selling it to you at a prime price. You're buying it. You're hooked in for the next 5 years, and you ain't getting out of it. Yeah, and chances are, if you're working in property, wearing a rollie every day, your rollie ain't going to last 5 minutes. I used to wear a designer watch every single day when I worked in my print business. And in the first year, that shit went off to be fixed. And it cost me more to have it fixed and polished than it cost me to buy the watch initially. So don't be fooled, guys. A watch, yes, certain watches will make you some decent money if you buy the right watch and with cars. But when you see these trainers, please do not be fooled, man. They do not own this stuff. They do not own it. It's all leased. And it's all staged to hook you in. And it all goes back to what we were saying. It's fishing, they're hooking, they're grabbing you, getting you in, and putting you around this complex sales funnel.
I agree. And I think it also means we have to look inwards and self-reflect and realize do we want this shallow stuff? Because I thought we got into property for our kids, our family, for free time. Then why are we being sold into the dream of shallow stuff? You know, when was, yeah, property trainer mentions, oh yeah, you get to spend more time with your family, but hey, no way, listen to that. Right. But they also do target you for that though. So as much as there is the materialistic side, I think when you get there, there's a lot of, oh, you know, okay, tell me about your family. Oh, you got young kids. They're going to uni, right? That's $9,000 a year. Well, you know, $9,000 a year is two, you know, 3 buy-to-lets, you know. So they also target that element as well. And then just quickly before we go on to the signs of a good trainer, when you're in the room with the trainers, I did a podcast with Mike Winnett. If anyone knows who it is, go check it out. We go through like the entrepreneur formula, but there's a few tips and tricks they use in this room. And honestly, I think that the best, or the single best piece of advice I can give is advice for anything in life is take a deep breath, take a step back, and just, you know, make a gap between the stimuli and your response. You want to buy the course? Today we've got a special offer. Take a deep breath, distance yourself from that, think about it. The offer's not special. They run this event every weekend and every weekday. And, you know, how could it be a special offer just today, just for you? Don't be so clapped, yeah? So think about it like that, distance yourself from it. And hey, if you happen to miss out on a special deal, go and negotiate it again, or go to a different trainer. You know, like, they're not going to refuse you for saying, oh, I want the original deal. So nothing is in that moment. Nothing is unique to that moment. They repeat it every weekend. Also, like, I went to an event, me and Jack Wicks, who I know you know as well. And he like abhors, is that the right pronunciation? Abhors any type of training. And he's so like, if he trains himself, but he's like anti, and he just can't take high fives and anything. He's just so like, fuck this shit. So we went in and we were like, yo, we're going to stay 2 days. We want to see the main man. Main man never came. He came like on the last day for an hour and, you know, whatever. But we literally left after half an hour because it was the typical, you know, I started off in debt, and you might have felt that too, right? Hands up if you felt it too. Yeah, I'm in debt. Oh, you know, you may have young kids or like someone you love. Who has someone they love? What a fucking dumb question. Everyone does. Oh yeah, I love, who, you know, and I really wanted a good future. Who, hands up if you want a good future? Yeah. And you're just like, okay, there's 2 things there. There's the emotional sob story, but secondly, you putting your hand up, you're complying, you're saying yes, 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 yes. You want to buy a course? Yeah, yes. It's that simple, basic, stupid NLP, whatever it is, right? Then it goes to the, you know, I was in debt. And has anyone ever been in debt? Not just money debt, but like just debt. Oh yeah, I owed my mum £1 for the trolley at Sainsbury's one time. I didn't give it back. Oh,
you still owe me £1, by the way.
Oh, you ain't getting it back, mate. I want what I ordered. So basically, they'll use these tactics, and they'll make you comply. They'll make, you know, and they'll kind of, you know, create energy in the room, running around, high-fiving, music. Let's shake it out, because some American scientist at Harvard says you got to shake it out every 3 hours, and then human contact is really good. And then it will kind of go, you know, it will go to the, well, and this is a really good one. Here's, you know, here's a property deal, but oh, I haven't told you about the laws. And if you don't get the laws right, it's a criminal punishment. But anyways, back to the deal. And we go over that on our course, the full 12 grand course. Yeah. But anyways, back to the deal. But obviously, if you don't follow this legal thing, it's really bad for you. But the deal, it's really easy maths, and blah, blah, blah. And so they'll do things like that, and they'll incite the fear in you. And of course, you don't know any better. You're not on your phone, because they're like, look, put your phones on silent. We want to be really present in the room, everyone. Yeah, come together. And you're going to believe them, and you're going to, oh, wait, what's that law thing? Oh, FCA punishments are you can go to jail for infinite time and infinite fines. Oh, there's a case study of someone got charged 400 grand. But don't worry. That's our advanced course. Don't worry about that yet. You know, that will come. And this stuff, it plants the fear in your head of, shit, I don't want to get fined. I don't want to go to jail. I better do the course then. And, oh, well, you know what? Since you're signing up for the basic course, well, we'll chuck in the advanced one for you know, we'll take 500 quid off you. Oh, well, I'm here now and I don't want to go to jail, so I guess I should do it. Like, how many times have people heard this or seen it around them or know it's happening? Like, everything I've just said, me and James could get on a stage, we could fill a room, we could use these techniques, and we'd make sales. He's in it, James. Do you think we'd make sales?
100%. But one thing I just want to add to that, Tej, ultimately, the only thing people need to do is when you go to this course, and Mike Winnett said it himself, leave your credit card at home. And I would just like to add to that, take your credit card off of Apple Pay on your phone, because these guys are getting clever. They're saying, use your Apple Pay on your phone. So if you're going to the course with no money, you ain't going to spend no money. You're not going to be forced into it. And, you know, turn around and say to them, you haven't even got a phone. You know, leave your phone in your bag and switch it off, so there's no way you can ring someone to get the money as well. That way, they cannot make you do it. And I just want to touch on one point where Tej said, you know, when they've got you agreeing with them, when you're putting your hand up, when you're nodding. Something I learned most recently from Curtis Jackson's book, 50 Cent, by the way. His new book is flipping amazing, yeah? Now, he is a very clever guy. He says when he's in a boardroom doing a deal and everybody else is nodding their head and agreeing with the speaker, 50 would just be like this. He won't give them any eye contact. Well, he'll give them eye contact. He won't give them any emotion. He won't even go like this. Nothing. You know, cold as a turkey, just sitting there. Nothing. He goes, because that way they've got to work harder to convince you. They've got to try and sell to you harder. Yeah. The minute you start shaking your head, they're thinking, oh man, I've got this guy. He's on my side. Let me move to the next person on the table. I've got that side. He's already agreeing. He's already agreed. Keep your emotions somewhere. Just sit there like this. Like you're a bit of a div, you know. Just stare at them. Let them work harder to try and convince you. And this is something I learned from 50's book. And I thought, man, this guy is clever. Very clever.
You know what? I think like that's an interesting point. And I do that. If I think someone's lying to me, or we're having a conversation where I'm trying to find something out that I think they're not telling me, I'll do that. I'll just, oh, are you there? Like just because people don't like silence. They find it awkward. Silence can reveal things that people say and want to say, and also show how, also actually psychologically, it makes you less compliant. Because when you smile, you feel happy, right? When you nod, you're compliant. So your body can actually tell your mind kind of what it's all complex, but your body can kind of insinuate something to your mind, which then you act on. So if you stay just like Fiddy, name your favorite 50 Cent song, people, in the chat, then, you know, you are not compliant. You're just, tell me more. Okay, interesting. And then you can see how they react. If they're like, oh, forget it, you're not even interested or whatever, then you're like, you're a child, I'm out. So be careful of that. And look, there are plenty of tactics that they will use otherwise, but like James said, leave a credit card at home and just be aware. Like if something sounds too good to be true, or you look around and everyone's like, yeah, tell them, you're just like, what the fuck? Like, you know that there's some sort of like brainwashing ish type thing. Oh, two people said Many Men by 50 Cent. That's a good song. That is a good song. That's like a proper gangster song after he got shot like 9 times in it. Who's seen the video of him falling off like a skyscraper with a bottle of Ciroc or something? That's quite funny. So next thing is, what are the signs of a good trainer? So we're almost at the about 50 minutes in, James. So we'll kind of keep it sharp, hopefully. But what are the signs of a good trainer, or even a good advert? What do you think, if any?
I think, you know, recently I spoke to Richard Little. Yeah, you know Richard Little, the master. Yeah. And you know what? Honesty. I think honestly, Richard Little is probably one of the guys who's at a peak performance, you know, 300 plus houses, really, really, really honest guy. He wrote a course. He wrote a book. And I've got his book here, actually. He said, I've got it as well, yeah. He said, his words were, he goes, James, that book is so slim because it's no bullshit. He goes, everything in that book is what you want to read. He goes, I haven't put in there about my life, on how it was hard growing up, and, you know, how I had issues with money, how I was almost bankrupt. He goes, I've not put that emotional bullshit in there. He goes, this is a real book. He goes, we run a course. He goes, it's only a 1-day course. He goes, because it's a no bullshit course. You turn up, we tell you what you want to hear. We don't try to sell you anything extra. He goes, because we don't have anything extra. He goes, that's it, you know. And I respect him for that, because it is a no bullshit approach. And I think sometimes the no bullshit approach is best. A good trainer, one thing you need to do is just jump onto Property Tribes. If you jump onto Property Tribes and you are trying to find out about a trainer, Property Tribes are going to tell you, if that trainer's shit, people are going to gun them hard. and it's going to go on for pages and pages and pages and pages. You'll soon make up your mind if they're any good. Yeah, it's very, very simple. Like Tej said, put their name into Google and you will find out who's doing well and who's coming up with a good response. Anybody can make up a fake review video. Anybody can write fake reviews. You can manipulate the system, but places like forums don't lie. So if you want to find a good trainer, ask the question on forums, ask the question on Facebook, ask people that are on the course, ring somebody up who's doing a course and ask them, say, hey, how are you getting on? What do you find? I think every trainer to an extent will have bad reviews, but it's up to you to make the judgment and say, okay, yes, this is a bad review. Has the trainer responded? Yes, they have. Does it sound legitimate? Yes, it does. Okay, I'm happy with the response. But signs of a good trainer are honesty, someone who's not sugarcoating it with shitloads of nice things like we talked about earlier, someone who is not selling to you in the first touch point. A good trainer will go to touch point 8, 9, 10 before they even sell you something, or even go to touch point 15 and still not tell you something, sell you something. It's like me. I took on some education. You might be surprised, but it got to touch point 9 before I committed. And the lady said to me straight, she goes, I knew you would always commit because you needed help in certain areas, but we're not here to force you. So if they're pressurizing you, go away, get out of there as quick as you can. If they have got their sales team constantly ringing you, get out of there. That's a bad trainer. If they're being honest, if they're telling you about the mistakes and people are saying good things about them, I would say that's the signs of a good trainer. Your recommendation is the biggest thing in this game. And once your reputation's screwed, it's screwed.
Yeah, I think also, like, looking at their social media, are they posting constantly, consistently about training, about marketing, about clickbaity stuff? Or is their profile, are their videos full of the properties they're buying, the shit they're actually doing? Are they on the ground doing it right now? Or are they and look, people say, oh, they make more money from training than property. Look, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, because you can make so much more from training. So proportionally, you can't compare them. By the way, people on Instagram, the live is going to end in 25 seconds, James. So I'll end it and then restart it and jump on the second live, yeah?
Okay.
So everyone who's on Instagram, it will end and then we'll restart it. I think, like, what was I saying? I forgot. Oh yeah. You want them to, no, what was I saying? I totally forgot. James, what was I saying?
You was just telling everybody how great James is.
I mean, I really don't think that was the case. Right, I'm just going to put this on IGTV. Prop Duo episode. Sorry, everyone on Zoom, we're just having a quick break on episode 9. No, seriously, though, what was I actually saying? Because it was a good point. I feel like it was. You weren't even listening. You were not even listening. Right, I'm live, James, so just come back into the chat. Sorry, everyone on Zoom, we're just going to wait a few minutes for people on IG to get back in. Greetings, those on Instagram. We are just restarting the party. So since no one knows what point I was making, because no one was listening, that's it. Sam Skinner, thank you so much. So I was saying, just because they're making more money in property, like a lot of people use as like a one-line, doesn't mean anything. You can make 10 grand off one person in property, but to make that off a property takes a lot more work. So you can't judge someone off where they're making more money from, but you can certainly judge them. What are they doing? Oh, when was the last time you bought a house, Mr. or Miss Trainer? Okay. Tell me about your latest deal. When you look at their social media, is it just them selling or them chatting shit? Or is it actually the houses they're buying? Because who do you want to learn from? Someone who is on the ground right now, buying, showing you, helping you for free, the freemium model, or someone who is constantly talking about training and why their training is good for you? Yes, your brain call to action says, oh, they're a trainer, so it must be training with them. But the person who's actually doing this shit is actually doing it. Why do you want to learn off someone who's not doing it? It's like learning to sing off someone who isn't singing, who can't sing right now. Why would you do that? You might as well, you know what I mean?
You know what else? What I'd just like to add to that, Tej, as well. Also, when you're trying to find a trainer or you're looking to go on with someone, you know what? Prepare 5 of the toughest damn questions that you can ask that person and ask them those questions when they're in a social setting where they can't go away and research it. And if
Yeah.
they don't know it and they're claiming to know it, then you know they're talking shit. And also you'll get rather a lot of enjoyment out of seeing them go, I don't know. Yeah?
Are you dealing with Mr. Blobby? Is Mr. Blobby a trainer now? So that is, finding a good one is not easy, but James has basically given all the tips in his point before. There's a question, but we'll get to that at the end. Good sir, thank you very much. Like when you find a good trainer, take your time, do your research, do not rush into anything. No rush. Yeah. And, just trust your gut. Like if someone is selling so hard, why are they selling so hard? What is the deal? What's behind this? Yeah. Think carefully and trust your gut. And don't go off excitement. Like breathe, separate yourself from the room. Don't listen to guy next to you. Oh yeah, I've got no money, but I'm gonna be financially free in 6 months. The Gucci shoes are coming, right? Ignore those people. Let them, or warn them, whatever you want to do. But just be sensible and do not go to a property event with no knowledge. Read some books first, listen to podcasts, blah, 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 and then go. You don't want to be in there totally fresh because you will get rinsed by them. And everything you'll be like, oh my God, it must be true, must be true, must be true. No, you want to go in with enough knowledge to say, or to refute some things. So, James, the next question, or the next point we're going to cover, look, I made notes, everyone. Again, I made notes. Do you need property training? And actually, James, you're the case study for this. So, you've bought houses, you've built on land, you've done the kind of top of property and the bottom, buy-to-lets, HMOs. You've kind of seen it all in different areas. You've been in business for X many years. I think most people would look at you and say, I don't think he'd get training. If he did, maybe it would be some sort of business coaching, which I know you've had in the past. But semi-recently, you took on some property education. Talk me through sort of, why and stuff.
Yeah, like you said, Tej, been around the houses, done a few deals, worked in loads of different sectors and done loads of different strategies. So people would think automatically, James doesn't need training now that you changed my name. But you know what it is? I think I wanted a mentor. Now, I wanted a mentor who's been successful. I wanted a mentor who's done big things. And when you look at the balance sheet, it all adds up, and it certainly did. And for me, I needed somebody who could keep me in check. My problem isn't finding the deals. My problem isn't raising money. My problem isn't finding funds to do the deals. My problem is the little things that go side by side with that, like, making sure your accounts are done, making sure your bookkeeping's done, making sure you're legal, making sure you're kept, you're complying to certain things. I don't claim to be very good at those. I know about those things, but would I put those into effect straight away? No. So I needed a mentor to work with who was going to be able to rein me in, because I'm like one of those people right now. I'm not buying one house. I'm trying to buy 4, and I want all 4. I don't want one massive back-to-brick renovation. I want 4 running at the same time on the same street right next to each other. So I like to go big. But when you go big, there's certain things that can happen when you go big. There's certain things that need to be put into place. So for me, being able to liaise with my mentor and put things to her and say, hey, listen, I'm doing this deal. What do you think? I might be all hyped about it thinking, yeah, I'm going to do this. She'll bring me back down to earth and say, look, have you done this? Have you considered this? Has this been put in place? Has this been done? And has this been done? And I'll be looking at it going, no, kind of, and yes. There's certain things you forget about. So for me, education is to rein me in, almost. Rein me in. At the moment, I'm like that lion out in the field, just roaming in the jungle, yeah? And from time to time, I need to be put in this cage so that I'm confined and I know that I'm working within the legal boundaries or working within the boundaries of doing things properly. So education, I took it on for that purpose, not necessarily for the purpose to learn the strategies. But like I say, I'm not one of those people... I work very well under criticism. I like people to criticize, and constructive criticism, I take it in. I'm like a sponge. I will listen to what people say, because I will always, even if I know about a certain strategy, I will pick something up and think, I didn't know that. I'll soak that in. Or yesterday, like I was saying to Ted, I was on a webinar about HMOs. I know quite a few things about HMOs, but when I'm listening to this HMO, I'm thinking, damn, I've just spent half an hour and learned some new things. So even if I know about the strategy, I'm still going to listen and still tune into those podcasts or tune into those webinars with my mentor, because I still want to soak up more and more knowledge. So for me, education is about reining me in. So yeah, you might be surprised that I have a mentor, and I do pay for a mentor, and I pay quite handsomely for it, but it works for me. You know, it's like someone I can refer to. It's you know, people, when you're at the peak of a physical activity, or if you're an athlete, you have a coach, you have mentors, you have people that work with you, and it's the same thing. There's no reason why you can't be at the peak of your game or be successful in what you're doing and have a mentor. I know so many people that are doing good things in property, and you would think these people do not need a mentor, and they have mentors, you know, and there's a very, very good reason for it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the point there also is, like, you may, like, as much as we're saying there's lots of bad trainers and there's some good ones and stuff, that doesn't mean you don't need training or mentoring or whatever. It just means what we're saying is be sensible when or if deciding. Now, you may not need it. You may not, of course, you know, like, but you might. And it's kind of up for you to decide. But I think a good mentor will, yeah, of course, they're always going to be selling you their wares, especially if it's their main business. But the really good ones will kind of sit down with you, or at least phone call, and say, look, okay, tell me what you want. Okay. And then, like, you know, I think I've done this before when people have asked me for mentoring. I've said, right, tell me what you want. Okay. I sussed out what they're like as a person. And I'm like, okay, tell me about you and your history. And I'm like, you don't need this. Like, you've got the mindset, you've got the skills, you're just lacking maybe confidence. And I said, I'm not going to, no, you don't. I was like, look, you don't need mentoring. You just need to go out there, do it, get some more confidence. But other people I've spoken to, I'm like, yeah, maybe it would suit you more. And really what you want is someone who will do that, you know. But sometimes you can figure out yourself, you know, we all know what kind of people we are, right? And sometimes with mentoring as well, James, sometimes it's monthly. If we're talking about mentoring, not training, you can do it. And if you don't need it, you can just cancel it. And that's obviously different with training. So think about all your options first on if you need it. And if you do need it, if you feel you want it, then what we've given so far should help you decide that, really. And feel free to message us. Don't be an arsehole though. Ask a proper message. Approach us as the humans that we are, and we will try our best to help. If you found this useful, we're not at the end just yet. Please screenshot it. Please share it on your stories, on your whatevers. If you want the spreadsheet, it's on our stories. Go and have a look at it.
No, just to add to that, you know, like Ted just said about the spreadsheet. Now, most trainers would charge you for that. You know, I've seen people sell that for 90 quid, 100 quid, 150 quid. It's the same spreadsheet me and Ted used to assess deals, you know.
It's actually better. It's actually better than mine.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, probably is. But what I'm saying is we've given you that for nothing, because, you know, it's something that we've had and it really helps people out, and it just allows you to assess a deal. And like Ted said, I get people asking us all the time, or me, oh, do you do mentoring? Do you do training? And like, not really, but you can quite easily suss a person out. And it's nice when you turn around and say to that person, look, man, you got the mindset. You got the mindset. You can make this work. All you need to do is go and listen to this podcast, or go and read this book, go and do this, and you'll be absolutely fine, you know, and you can find the information you need. So I feel with mentoring, it's a two-way thing. A mentor should be analyzing you as a person as well as you analyzing them as a mentor. And a mentor should be thinking, is this person right to work with? It's a two-way relationship, yeah? It's not just a one-way. So the mentor should be assessing you as well as you assessing the mentor. And if the mentor isn't assessing you and thinking, is this a good fit for me? Then you know they're just after your peas or your money.
Just after your peas, yeah. But we do get asked lots of stuff. So who knows, maybe 1997 coming soon to a... Maybe. Coming soon to a hotel near you.
Now, it won't be a hotel. It'll be a nice basement club, I think. Something proper funky.
With food in it, with good food.
With DJs, barbecues,
ooh,
everything.
I'll DJ. You do all the
tear it up.
It'd be mad. But actually, no, James, we actually have an event planned for
we do?
Whenever humanity can... Well, it won't be that soon. It'll be when we can sort of touch each other again. And you can spank everyone you want to spank because you're talking about it. So we're going to have James, tell him, because you're the East London cool dude, isn't it?
Yeah, no, me and Ted's decided we're going to put together kind of it's going to be a bit of a networking event. We're not selling you anything, so to say so. don't be alarmed and, stop following us. So there's some really cool venues around by Hackney Wick and Hackney, some old converted warehouses that have been converted into bars right by the canal. And our thoughts were, as soon as lockdown's over and people can contact each other again and touch each other, we're planning on hosting an evening network there with just drinks. It's by the canal. It is a nice bar, a DJ, and just maybe a little bit of property talk, and just get to know each other a bit more outside of Zoom, because Zoom's become the go-to thing. We need to flip it back up after lockdown and get people drinking together and having a chat and just mingling and meeting each other. So yeah, coming to you soon.
Yeah, look after that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be networking, but with a twist. And I will be the MC inside on the night. 1, 2. So we have questions now, because I believe we're pretty much at the end of this. So quickly we'll go through it. Let's see. So we've got a good question from Shaz Ahmed, my broker. Hold tight. If you need a good broker, go check my boy. He came back from Pakistan scot-free, so we're blessed that he's back with us. He says possibly for Tej, and applies to Shaz in some respects. So there's definitely dodgy trainers, mentors, no doubt about it. So how do you avoid guilt by association? Sounds like a J Huss song. If you're appearing or speaking at their events, or nowadays jumping on an IG live with those types of people. Or I guess, James, the reverse, having someone on your podcast who is maybe a dodgy trainer. He has a disclaimer that says, not saying that we've done this, he's just saying, how do you avoid the guilt by association? James, go on, what's your answer for that?
Let's say, for example, you interview someone on your podcast, yeah, and later on down the line, they're dodgy as hell, and it comes out that they've been doing this and that. I would have no problems calling that person out on another podcast straight after that, saying, listen, he came on my podcast. He was good when he came on my podcast. He's become a bit of a shyster now. I've got nothing to do with him. I would make sure I disassociate myself from that person as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I'm the same. I've had someone on my podcast who just generally was a bit of a prick after the podcast. I didn't really like him. But then I found out he was part of
thanks,
some...
man.
No, you're coming up. And he was part of some fake Airbnb, fake review, scamming thing. And to be honest, he was just a bit of a fucking idiot anyway. As a person, he had no sense, I discovered later. And I just removed the podcast, and I actually need to remove the Instagram post as well. So I have no problem removing it in silence and just saying nothing. But to be honest, I don't tend to get trainers on. And people I do get on, I tend to vet, whether it's social media or referrals or whatever, I tend to vet them. And I have done podcasts before where I actually said point blank to someone, it sounds like you're lying throughout this podcast. And I'm not saying you are, but my listeners are going to pick up on that. And so this is not getting released. You can have the audio, but this ain't getting released, and the audio is confidential. You cannot release it either. So, that is what it is in podcasts. I think with IG lives, don't do it with these people. And with events, look, at the end of the day, yeah, I've spoken at events, and I'm going to be speaking at events of trainers that sell stuff that I'm not affiliated with and I don't support. And I make that very clear. In the presentation, I'll say, I'm tejtalks, independent, no association, yeah? And I kind of go with it. But then again, the company hasn't got a bad reputation. It's just they say they sell stuff. If a company had a bad reputation, I wouldn't speak at their event. Simple as that. As much as the props are good and you get some source from it, just don't, because all you need is these shadows in some of these Facebook groups. Oh my God, Shaz was with them. That means they're uncles, they're related. They must get samosa together and then they're doing business together. No, Shaz is dodgy. Because there's a few losers who do that. So I would avoid.
You know what, guys? Ultimately, you have to protect yourself. You have to protect your brand. You have to protect your image. And if by mistake you've been associated with a waste man, make sure you do everything you can to quickly get disassociated to that waste man. And I think it's easy to do now. You can call them out. You can make a video. You can put a post out and saying, look, we didn't realize this guy was like this. And it just holds you credible for going out there and acknowledging, right, look, this person did this. It might start a bit of a V4 up. You might have a bit of beef online. There's nothing wrong with a bit of beef. It's healthy competition, as I like to call it. So, but yeah, definitely protect yourself and don't be afraid of not calling them out so much, but putting your official response out there, like Mr. Manchester did the other day, which was actually quite a good response.
Very good response. Very PR, very Prime Minister, very... no, he didn't break lockdown. He just went to check his eye, ding dong. It was very much like that. So it's very much bullshit. And that is Boris Johnson. I will call him out by name. So a few more questions. So just a quick one, which I've already answered, but I'll just read it out. If people ask if you've had any education, but you're self-educated, how would you respond without ruining your credibility? But what I basically said is I spent X many months doing X, Y, Z, meeting X, Y, Z, learning this, going through stuff, listening to podcasts, listening to books. Just tell them what you did, because if someone goes to uni nowadays, do you rate them? Or if they said, you know what, I spent 3 years working as a whatever, and who do you rate more, and who do employers rate more? The person with the work experience. So you've got work experience technically, not book experience. So say that and be cool with that. I'll skip past that, James has already wrote it. A question from Amardeep says, question for James and Dej. What do you both think of property mastermind groups? Do you think there is a place for these rather than traditional training? I'll go quickly. I think that masterminds are more of a monthly guidance, mentorship, hold your hand, analyze deals, networking thing. Whereas training is at the start and it's, here's the knowledge, here's the insight, go and do your thing. Whereas a mastermind is a guide. That's how I see it. James?
I know a lot of people that have had successes with mastermind groups, because you've got to imagine there's going to be a group of 10, 15 of yous that are all very, very like-minded people. There's going to be people in that group that are a hell of a lot better than you further down their journey. And you know what they always say, if you are the cleverest person in your group, get yourself a new group. And the chances are when you're in a mastermind group, you are not going to be the cleverest person in that group. You're not going to be the most experienced. So you are always going to learn something from that group. They're going to uplift you. They're going to do great things with you. If you want to run a deal past someone, there's somebody who can help you. And also, I think mastermind groups are good if you want to do joint ventures together, or you need to raise money, or you need to speak to a specialist. So I'm all for them. I think they're great, especially providing the people in that group are good. If the people in that group are waste, then no, it's going to be a shit group.
Trend Up, I think is Instagram name, says, what if the person has a bad reputation, but they aren't actually bad? I think then it doesn't matter. If you genuinely believe they're not bad and you have evidence to the contrary, then who cares? It's your education. So use them, it's whatever will benefit you and whatever you think is right for you. So, who cares if they have a bad rep, what works for you.
I think I answered that point earlier as well. Like, with my trainer, there was a couple of bad responses online, pages and pages of stuff where she'd been called out on something. When I spoke to her and read the responses, very, very clear on what happened, very clear on how she dealt with it. And that put my mind at ease, because there was only one thing bothering me there. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, cool. So let's do last two questions, and then we're going to log off because this podcast is long. Harley says, what if they are part of a group that sells courses, but they are a decent person themselves? James, what do you think?
I think it comes back to, again, are they associating themselves with that group, or are they staying independent? Like Ted said before, when he turns up, he says, no, this is just the Tej Meister. I'm on my own. I'm not part of these waste people, but I've just come here because they've paid me handsome. No, they haven't paid me. But, if they are making it very, very clear that they are not part of the group, then it's all good. I'll give you an example. 10X event. A lot of people there were waste men. Not the 10X event, another one. A lot of people there were waste. But then you had someone like Alfie Best. Alfie Best is a real good guy. And people said he was the best speaker there. He's been on my podcast. I spent time with Alfie Best. And, he's a great guy. So that just goes to show lots of waste people. One good guy has made it quite clear and said, look, I'm not part of this lot. They've come here and asked me to speak. So if this person's quite clear on what he's doing, it's easy for you to find out.
Like Success Resources too, total shite event, total shite company, scammers to the max. But Gary Vee was speaking there. I mean, yeah, you could question his ethics, but he's good as far as I can tell in terms of the value he shares. Last question from Gareth Roberts. How do you find your mastermind groups? James?
I think there's loads out there at the moment. I would say you could post something on Facebook in the relevant groups to see what other people are doing. Go by recommendations. Or even just start your own mastermind group, Why not but hey, that's it. The propertyduo mastermind group. That's it.
Hey.
Yeah. So, yeah, Christ, oh man, I just went off track there. Yeah, but yeah, there's loads of people out there. Maybe start your own mastermind group, get 10 of you together, 5 of you together that are really good, and start your own group.
Yep, correct. Okay, we've got one last
Oh,
question.
no, wait, look, it's Annika. She's alive.
She actually turned up for once. Let's say you had a mentor and you found out some negative comments about them. How would you go about dealing with that? Personally, I would just, it depends who said the comments. If it's like a hate or whatever, I would say, no. If it's like, I think basically what I'd do is I'd say, hey, by the way, have you heard this comment someone said about you? Is it like, it can't be true because I know you really well, but what do you think of, just play dumb.
Oh, you know what, Annika, you need to WhatsApp me because I think this might relate to both of us. I need to speak to you about this. This sounds like some interesting.
Right, can you take your private conversations elsewhere, please? Thank you.
Okay, all right.
So Trend Up says there's a lot of witch hunting online by mediocre, incompetent people who have mindset issues and project those. I agree. I've got some particular people I'm thinking of. Right. Harley says, do we accept student loans as payments? From our mastermind? No, we do not. We only accept debit. No credits. No MX. Right.
No Bitcoins either.
Okay. Right. So thank you everyone for attending and watching the Property Duo show. If you haven't already, please leave a review on Facebook or on iTunes or Apple. Take a screenshot if you've liked this. And we will see you next Thursday at 10 a.m. for our free spreadsheet. Check the notes in this podcast and you shall find them.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah. See you next week.